You're listening to Horsemanship, Growth, and Gratitude with Miranda and Horsemanship, where we discuss training wins and fails, mindset, personal growth, and everything in between. So grab your favorite cup of coffee or reins and let's ride. Hey there, it's Miranda Allen, and welcome back to Horsemanship, Growth, and Gratitude. Today, I wanted to talk about the golden question. This is a question that everyone always asks, no matter the topic or the industry. That question is, what is the number one piece of advice, one magical tip, or that one takeaway that can make the greatest impact for, and in this case, training or riding horses? If I was asked this question, my advice would be to slow your body down. Even if you think you are being clear in your cues, I promise you that you can still find room to slow down your cues even more to allow for more clarity in your ask to your horse. I would say that 99% of riders are way too fast with their body aids, especially their hands. I am the first one to admit that I am 100% guilty of this. And it's that one item on the agenda that I do try to work on consciously every ride. What being fast looks like for most riders is that they are way too quick to pick up on their reins. They're way too quick to get ahead of the horse and micromanage them, where they're not even letting the horse make their own decisions, right or wrong. And they're too quick and they don't allow the horse's brain to even a chance to process the cue or the request, let alone to give their body time to adjust. The rider is always on the defense, trying to get one step ahead of the horse to control the situation. Which I get it, it's not natural and it feels like a threat to our nervous system to set on a 1,000-pound animal knowing that they're the ones in full control. So of course it's natural for us to want to try to control as much as we can. But hello, that's what horse riding is after all, and that's what makes it so fun and thrilling. When I'm describing this to people, I like to use stopping the horse as the great example of what being too quick looks like and how that can hinder the horse's success. Now, this is how a solid stop should look like, as being a smooth 1, 2, 3, 4 process. 1, the rider sits down deep in the saddle. 2, the rider takes off their legs. 3, the rider says, whoa. 4, then and only then, the rider picks up the reins lastly, only if needed. What the horse reads when you do this is, okay, it's time to stop. So I need to soften my rib cage in order to flex my back so I can transfer at least 20 to 30% of my body weight off of my forequarters through my rib cage back onto my hindquarters so I can plant my butt into the ground and stop all forward motion with my front feet being the last thing to move. And the rider's also going to probably ask me to bring my head down and soften up a little bit to the bit as well. Just this physical process alone is going to take your horse a couple of strides for them to complete this entire change in their body. That's not taking into consideration the amount of time that it will take your horse to mentally process what you're even asking for. Then they need to send the signal from their mind to their feet. So add a few more strides on for the time that will take. So often I see riders who sit down and immediately pull back on the reins at the same time, expecting that their horse is going to stop all forward motion all at once and have a fast, smooth stop. Let me ask you this. When you're driving a car and you come to a red light, do you just slam on the brakes every time? No. Why not? Because when you slam on the brakes, it feels like you're going to fly through the windshield, doesn't it? Your purse goes flying and dumps all the contents on the floor. There goes your favorite chapstick to be lost forever under the seat. Your hot coffee splashes everywhere, all over your lap, all over the radio, the center console. The cup holders just get full of an inch of coffee. And let's not forget that the seatbelt locks up, preventing you from leaning forward and grabbing said items flying around. It's just an extremely comfortable situation. And that's how our horses feel when we tell them with our body and hands at the same time and actually expect them to stop right at the moment. We are slamming on the brakes. They end up getting front end heavy and having a jarring stop because they don't have time for a chance to even adjust for that centrifugal force. When I explain this to riders, they say, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. I'll slow down. But they still continue to jam on the brakes continuously over and over without realizing it or being able to stop it. Why? Well, because just like a student driver learning, it's going to take practice to get the feel and the timing. Now, how would you feel while driving around if there were no yellow lights to give you a signal to prepare that the green light is about to turn red? You'd be driving along, minding your own business, and then all of a sudden, people in front of you are going to be slamming on their brakes. I bet you'd see a lot more accidents and a heck of a lot more road rage. You'd probably even start anticipating driving and becoming a nervous wreck because of the fear of the unknown. Am I going to get in an accident today? Is somebody going to slam on their brakes in front of me? Well, how do you think your horse is going to feel when you don't give them the opportunity to have a signal before the signal that change is coming, let alone to prepare for that change? Horses hate surprise parties because predators love surprise parties. And when asking your horse to do a change with no warning or no signal that change is coming, you're going to catch your horse off guard and you're going to catch your horse off balance. And there is nothing more that a horse hates than being caught off guard and caught off balance. This is why you hear trainers say that having fast hands is a form of being harsh to your horse. It's a surprise party. A horse cannot truly be light, soft, and supple if you have fast hands that give surprise parties. Now, it was back in college when I really was made aware of this and learned about it for the first time in this light. I was riding my young mare that I had at the time at a reining clinic with JD Anderson, and I still remember vividly to this day. My mare was being pretty good for being very green, and we were riding along. She was doing great. And I remember him stopping me and saying, hey, you're being too fast with your hands, and that's causing you to be really harsh to your horse. And I remember sitting there being so confused because here I'm thinking my mare is being super soft and supple because I am barely putting any pressure on my reins, and she's giving her face almost immediately. And he's telling me that I'm being harsh. And I probably even was like, but no, I'm barely putting any pressure on the reins and she's giving so softly. But what he meant was that I was catching my horse off guard, off balance, and not allowing her the opportunity to realize or understand that change was coming. And I definitely was not giving her the time to prepare for it. Her speedy reflex was really just a fear response because she was just trying to be one step ahead of me to prevent being caught off guard. Now, this bad habit, I'm well aware, came from when I was growing up, learning how to ride on a feisty Arab mare who, if I gave her an inch, she would take a mile. And then my next horse was a blown up barrel horse. That same thing, I felt like I had to constantly be on the defense, holding my horses into a frame or else they would run off with me because they would. But in all seriousness, when you are quick to be grabbing at the reins, the horse isn't able to process any request, leaving them on the defense as well. Learning how to just be able to put my hand down and ride out, because the last thing any horse, but especially a colt, needs is a rider nitpicking on them, was one of the hardest challenges in my riding career that I needed to learn. And that was one of the greatest takeaways that I picked up from going out west to college and my horsemanship experience out there. It was just putting your hand down and just letting your horse ride off. And it has been the number one thing that I've been working on all my clients with. So many of them are micromanagers just like I was. Ever since that day, I have made it my priority to focus on slowing my cues down, especially my hands. Now, am I perfect at it? Absolutely not. But have I been improving? Definitely. And my horses are a new level of soft because of it. I swear, just when you think you can't get any slower, try again, because I promise you, you can. This fall, when I was riding at a Phil Haugen clinic, one of the biggest focal points that we worked on was slowing down and separating our body aids in the ask. Now, I mean like really emphasizing the pause. For example, slide your hand down the reins, pause. Close your hand around the reins, pause. Squeeze the reins, pause. Bring your hand around, pause. And as someone who felt like I already knew how to do this, having a detail eye watching me and course correcting my quickness and really challenging me to push my threshold really gave me a new perspective on how much further that we can take this. Sure enough, the horse that I was riding continued to get softer and softer as I continued to slow my ask down. Imagine that. When I say softer, I mean the horse reads my body and starts to set up and prepare for the change before they even know what it is I'm going to ask for. Because they don't necessarily need to know what is coming, they just need to know to prepare that change is coming. And not only are they starting to get soft and get ready, but they also wait on me to see exactly what it is I'm going to ask for. And they're not guessing, trying to get ahead of me, just like my mare was years ago. Then their mouth becomes so light that I barely have to even touch the reins. And then they are bringing their head down and giving so softly. Then their hindquarters become so much more engaged and there's so much more purposeful effort in their strides, right? It's because they have time to physically and mentally prepare. It's something for me that I personally feel that no matter how experienced you are, you can greatly benefit from having a trained eye to watch you every now and then to see, okay, where are my holes? Where can I add more clarity, etc. Now, circling back to that stopping example, once I have a rider that I'm working with that is ready to work on improving their stops on a new level, I always start by telling them I want them to stop their horse in 4 strides. And I do not want them to touch the reins unless absolutely necessary at the very end. Here's what it normally looks like when I ask them to do that. Stride 1, they sit down. Stride 2, they take their legs off and they pull back and say, whoa. Then they think, see, my horse stopped just fine. I say, nope, try again. You grabbed the reins way too fast and you rushed everything. It was like a run-on sentence. So then they try it again. And then I say, this time, what I want you to do is I want you to glue your hand to the top of the withers, grab the saddle pad if you need to, but whatever you do not touch the reins. And I can see like the panic flash in their eyes as they take a big gulp and go, okay, as they reluctantly slowly put their hand down, doubting that it's going to work and they're going to have a runaway. And mind you, we're doing this at a walk. And as they try again, sure enough, I notice they sit down a little more deeply because they're wanting to make sure that their horse really felt the sit. They take their legs off a little bit more dramatically because they really want to make sure their horse felt those legs come off. They speak up a little louder because they really want to make sure that horse heard that whoa. Next thing you know, the horse comes to a nice chill stop without the rider ever having to touch the reins. And the rider is sitting there stunned thinking, oh my God, I just climbed Mount Everest because I can't believe my horse just stopped without me touching the reins. And then I say to them, this is what happens when your horse has clear, consistent signals and understands what you're asking them for. They just need a minute to respond. Stop micromanaging them. I feel like once a rider gets this, their timing starts to improve all throughout their ride because now they understand what a light bulb moment should feel like. Then we can move on to truly learning how to put her hand down and teaching her horse how to ride on without micromanaging them, letting them have the opportunity to make a decision on their own, right? If they make a mistake, we correct them, put them on course, and we let them go. And if they do what we ask and make a correct decision, we just stay out of their way. The horse's biggest reward is being left alone. Let them learn how to do their job. Whether that's staying on a straight line or circling, it doesn't matter. Just put your hand down and let them make a decision. Now, in addition to slowing down your cues, just keep it simple and keep it consistent. It's better to have 3 hand positions that you know exactly how and when to keep them and how to keep them extremely consistent than a dozen that keep you second guessing. Am I lifting? Am I pulling? Which collecting position? No, you have 3 simple hand positions: lift, collect, and lead. I learned that clarity portion of that from the Phil Haugen clinic. I probably had 18 hand signals until the clinic in October, and now I have 3. And let me tell you, I have noticed a night and day difference Night and day difference with my horses when I'm riding, when I keep it simple. It's also better to have 3 drills that you get really good at that allow you to actually build up your horse's confidence and feel with versus having a book full of them that you're constantly mixing and matching from. And then your horse never knows why or what to expect. And you can't build confidence if your horse doesn't know if they're doing it right or wrong and what it's supposed to feel like and why. So just keep it slow and keep it simple. That's all that we need. Keep it slow and keep it simple. With that, thanks for tuning in to Horsemanship Growth and Gratitude with Miranda Allen Horsemanship. If you've enjoyed this episode, I'd love for you to follow the podcast and share it with a friend who loves horses as much as we do. And while you're at it, be sure to check out my website, mirandaallen.net. That's Allen, Allyn, to stay tuned and updated on the launch of my upcoming online course, Essentials of Horsemanship. And until next time, remember, horsemanship is in the details.